Hello and welcome to World of Business, your weekly guide to trending business news and the latest on the stock markets. We also herald the unsung but thriving business entrepreneurs on this program. My name is Malvin Matava. Now, on this particular episode, we will look at President Mnangagwa's comments at the recently held 44th SADC Summit, where he took over as chairperson. And he also stressed that economic growth is needed to remain central to the SADC agenda, especially on issues around food security as well as industrialization growth. But first, we take a look at the exchange rates as of
today, where the Zimbabwe gold to the United States dollar interbank rate was at 13.80 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the Great Britain pound interbank rate was at 17.97 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the euro interbank rate was at 15.34 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the South African rand interbank rate was at 1.29 ZiG. The Zimbabwe gold to the Botswana pula interbank rate was at 1.03 ZiG.
we also give you the commodity prices on the global market.
Prices as of today were gold per ounce traded at $2,551 after it went up by 0.05 percentage points. Silver per ounce traded at $29.98 after it went up by 0.09 percentage points. Copper per pound traded at $420.65 after it went up by 0.13 percentage points. Platinum per ounce traded at $950.33 after it went down by 0.20 percentage points.
Well, that's all we had for you in the first segment of World of Business. Join us in the second segment as we delve deep into this discussion. Welcome to the second segment of your business show, World of Business, where we are discussing in greater detail some of the key issues that were raised by His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa at the just ended SADC Summit. Now, President Mnangagwa, in his comments at the start and end of the summit, he stressed that economic growth is needed to remain central to the SADC agenda as part of our SADC industrialization strategy roadmap that is spanning from 2015 up to 2063. Now, to help us unpack this in a discussion, we are joined by financial economist Mr. Misheck Ugaro, as well as economist Mr. Trymore Muhlanga. Gentlemen, welcome to World of Business.
Thank you, Marvin.
Good day, thank you.
So now, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, in his comments, as I was talking about earlier on, he was stressing that economic growth is needed to remain central to the SADC agenda, and this is how the region can lift its entire population out of poverty. Now, as the host country, and he is assuming chairmanship of the bloc, what notable initiatives that have been put in place to date to enhance economic growth, industrialization, as well as the modernization agenda? I'll start with you, Mr. Ugaro.
Thank you, Malvin. Before I go into the initiatives, I'd just like to congratulate the country for assuming chairmanship of the regional bloc. I say the country because I must acknowledge that this is a collective responsibility for the whole country. Of course, we have the leader, His Excellency, Comrade President E.D. Mnangagwa. We work under him. but it is all our collective responsibility. So I think that I can highlight the industrial week that occurred before the actual summit happened, where in industry was looking at what opportunities now present themselves. It is now time that perhaps the region could be looking at collaborative possibilities and opportunities. Let me highlight that I was very pleased to note that at leadership level there is that acknowledgement of what I call latent power that the bloc holds in terms of resources. I took particular note of the fact that the minerals that the SADC produces, they range from about a fifth of the global production. Depends on which mineral. From your tin, from your zinc, which are lower at about 20% of global production, all the way to gold at 25-30% of global output. If you look at the platinum, the PGM minerals, we control 70% of global output. So we range from about a fifth to about 70%. And I think that is latent power that the region possesses, which it can leverage upon to thrust economic growth.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Thanks.
So now, Mr. Muhlanga, Mr. Ugaro is talking about what the region can do from now on that Zimbabwe has assumed chairmanship. Can we talk about what has been on the ground so far before this 44th SADC summit?
Thank you, Marvin. I think Misheck touched on a lot of it. To say we have done well as SADC and as Zimbabwe in some of the enablers. When I talk of enablers, I'm looking at issues like infrastructure development. So I'm looking at issues like innovation, but there is still room for improvement. For an example, when you look at infrastructure development, Zimbabwe and SADC as a whole, we have done quite well. We have done reasonably well. Road infrastructure as an example. But what we now need to look at is also rail as an example. Because for economic growth, if we start moving the raw materials that we produce from our Greek mining, we need a functional and robust rail system, because road will succumb to the pressure. We also need to improve on the latent power that he speaks to. So it's one thing to have the 70% of PGMs. It's another to then also actually value add on those, such that when we export, our exports don't remain primary. He mentioned a bit about it. I'll just expound.
So let's talk more about that. How far has Zimbabwe gone with the implementation of value addition and the beneficiation of our local industries? Maybe you were commenting on that.
Exactly. So you realize that we have our fair share of success stories. For example, Zimbabwe is mostly an agro-based economy. And when you look at our national priorities, even Vision 2030, one of the pillars is supposed to move the economy, to transform it from agro-based. If you throw in minerals, it then becomes even worse, like our dependence on primary produce. We have agric processing. In Zimbabwe, we do quite a bit of agric processing. So the produce from the agriculture sector feeds into manufacturing, and we have very good agric processing plants and the produce. And also in some of our minerals, here and there, we do process, and we have had actually to ban raw lithium exports such that we can export. But to summarize and sum it up all, I think we still need to do quite more until we can actually have manufactured exports being quite a significant proportion of our exports. Because on the raw products, on the primary aspect, we remain susceptible and vulnerable to the international markets. One other aspect I will just point to is, as we have done all that we have done, one Achilles heel we still have is around climate proofing our agriculture particularly. So that this year, I think we spoke about food security. We should not then cry as much as we are if we had also invested significantly in climate proofing our agric, because El Nino will be with us for a long time because of climate change.
Okay, so I think that we definitely do have to do more. So now, Mr. Ugaro, what are now the recommendations that can be passed to the manufacturing sector to fully maximize on these locally produced goods that we have?
Yes, Marvin. I think that I think it touches on what I had said previously.
Yes.
What our industry or manufacturing sector has to do now is to identify the areas of strength, especially given the proximity of raw materials that we have, and then also identify collaborative opportunities with regional players, and then position ourselves to concentrate on it could be components. I'll give you an example, like Boeing, the airplanes.
Yes.
The components of Boeing are manufactured in different countries in Europe, and then they come together. So Zimbabwean industry can cherry pick the areas that we think that we are strong, and then concentrate on those and collaborate with somebody else across the border who will then take over. And that way we then end up with a finished product that can then be exported.
Okay, talking about collaboration, I think it was one of the major issues which was being discussed at the recently held SADC summit, because we were talking about entering into force of the agreement establishing tripartite free trade area among the common market for Eastern Africa and Africa, the Eastern Africa community, as well as SADC. We're talking about all these blocks merging to create business together. What outcomes can we expect if such an agreement is in place?
Yes, if you look on the bigger picture of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the model there is that the build-up of the free trade area is supposed to start from these blocks. So you will see that combining this tripartite, sorry, I'm a member of the tripartite negotiating forum. So this tripartite agreement of these three trading blocks is actually a step in the direction towards the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So this is going to open up these opportunities, more opportunities for organizations or players to then take advantage and improve trade.
Okay, definitely. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I know a lot was discussed on this SADC summit, and this is just the first thing that we have decided to tackle. We'll definitely be doing that in the next episodes of our World of Business. Now we have come to the end of the second segment of this week's edition of World of Business, where we were looking at some of the key takeaways from the just ended 44th SADC Summit. Join us in the last segment as we link up with our presenter, Mrs. Sela Marere, as she talks to the Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, that is Honourable Polite Kambamura, in Mount Hampton at the 44th SADC Summit. Do stay tuned. Well, we were also at the SADC Summit, and in this edition of your World of Business, Sela Marere talked to Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honourable Polite Kambamura.
On this particular segment, we are joined by the Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honourable Kambamura, at the new Parliament building in Mount Hampden. We are here where the proceedings of the SADC Summit are taking place, and we're going to discuss the significance of this year's SADC Summit to the region as a whole, and also looking at the contribution of the mining sector to our GDP as a nation. Honourable, thank you so much. So I'll start off with the theme, promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustained economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC. To what extent is this theme significant to the events occurring here today, and also what we have noticed and witnessed in the previous days?
Thank you very much. We need to take note of the keywords in this theme. One, innovation, opportunities, industrialization, and sustainability. This is a key, especially when we're dealing with finite resources like minerals. We need to make sure that we get maximum benefit out of our minerals, considering that tomorrow they will not be there. So we need to properly handle them. We need to be innovative. We need maybe to exploit our minerals sustainably, so that the current needs of the current generation will not compromise future generations from also realizing their needs. So the theme is just, to the point for strategic planning, especially in the region.
So the theme, if you look at the keywords in the theme, innovation, industrialization, how far is our mining sector, and also looking at mining as one of the key hinges of our economy, how far have we gone in terms of industrializing, modernizing, and also innovating our mining sector in Zimbabwe?
Currently, the mining sector is started on research on our minerals, especially looking forward on value addition and beneficiation. Currently, we are drafting up the beneficiation policy and strategy so that the country do not export jobs, and also that we can realize maximum benefit from our minerals by increasing our export receipts. I think you are aware that currently His Excellency commissioned Dinson Colliery and also Dinson Iron Steel Company in Manidze. This project is going to be a game changer, not only in Zimbabwe, but also in Africa. This is a step forward towards industrialization. The fact that we'll be doing our own steel, it will, point the fact that regionally SADC will leverage on Zimbabwe's minerals, and also it also leads us to industrialize through infrastructure development, and also through innovation. Zimbabwe cannot be an island, that is, we cannot be left alone from the influences of the region and the world over. So the mining industry, we are going also to come up with innovation hubs. We are going to test run our minerals, be it gemstones, diamonds, on polishing and on cutting and polishing. The Zimbabwe School of Mines has already started on this, the cutting and polishing of our gemstones. This is a major milestone toward the value addition and beneficiation.
Definitely. And now that our main talk is centered around the SADC Summit that we are all here for today, what can you say in terms of the contribution of the mining sector, regionally, and also what can be done to make sure that this becomes sort of like our biggest revenue generation project in the region?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I would like to point the fact that Zimbabwe is the third largest producer of PGMs, and second largest after South Africa. We still have the largest deposit of PGMs after South Africa, considering that South African deposit is almost depleted. So strategically, the issue of beneficiation comes into play. I think you are aware that currently there was a commitment the PGM sector to set up a base metal refinery and a precious metal refinery in the region. We will no longer be exporting our meat to South Africa, but all will be done locally. So also other countries will also bring their product here in Zimbabwe for value addition and beneficiation. Also the fact that we have recently discovered oil and gas in Mzarabani. This put us at a strategic position in the SADC region, whereby we'll be able maybe to leverage on our hydrocarbon for post-economic growth.
Okay. So earlier you spoke of the mineral beneficiation plan and also value addition as one of the key elements that will enable us to revamp and also to boost our mining sector. So a $12 billion target, looking at where we are now.
The 12 billion mining sector was already achieved. What we are working now on is to sustain it and also continue to maybe to grow it. So the government has come up with several policy interventions. I think recently, a year ago, we banned the export of raw mineral ores to allow local value addition and beneficiation. As a result, this has seen a lot of companies coming to set base in the country to set up processing plants. We've seen smelters, ferrochrome smelters being set up. We've seen cocoa-bean batteries being set up in Wange for value addition of our coal. The coming in of Manidze steel plant, like I've said, is a game changer. Is a product of His Excellency's intervention on value addition and beneficiation. So we are also going to come up with the mineral-based policies towards value addition. What is the ministry going to do with value addition of lithium, value addition of diamonds, value addition of our gold? So it's something, I mean, it's work in progress that we are doing, so that after development of mineral-based beneficiation policies, we now come up with a beneficiation strategy, which will map, the mining sector as we go forward.
So, Honourable, you speak of mineral beneficiation and you speak of the importance of value addition, but in terms of industrialization, how far is the mining sector gone in making sure that our systems that we are putting in place are more industrialized?
What the ministry is currently doing is also to draft an industrialization strategy, which will be hinged basically on minerals. Where minerals are found, there should be industrialization. For example, we have the Manidze steel plant. There should be an industry, a steel industry in Manidze, and all supporting industry, upstream and downstream, they should be housed in Manidze. For example, we have diamonds in Manikal and in Shiadzwa. Let cutting and polishing of diamonds be in Manikaland. Where we find the coal, let all hydrocarbon-related industries be in Wange. This will bring centers of excellence in those regions. This will also promote employment for the local communities. Where we are finding gold, let gold beneficiation industry be there. Let jewelry industry be there.
So lastly, before we close off the segment, with Zimbabwe assuming chairmanship of the region, today we have witnessed His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa being appointed the chairperson of the regional bloc now. What more projects can we expect from the mining sector, especially looking at the fact that we are saying this is one of the key drivers of our economy, and you are looking forward to it also helping to boost revenue even for the entire region? What more does the future hold for this sector?
Okay, with the coming in of His Excellency, our President, as Chairman of SADC, this is going to unlock more opportunities to our country in terms of funding, skills and knowledge transfer, collaboration, a memorandum of understanding, joint ventures in the mining sector. Our vision is to see the region being a powerhouse in terms of energy sufficiency, being a powerhouse in terms of mineral beneficiation and value addition, being a powerhouse in terms of knowledge and skills transfer. So we need to come up together and knit up, share ideas, share information, so that we can come up with a sustainable mining sector for the region.
That brings us to the end of the final segment of this week's edition of World of Business, where we were joined by the Honourable Deputy Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honourable Kambamura, who was giving us an overview of the performance of the mining sector up to date, and was also telling us the importance of mineral beneficiation and value addition in implementing successful policies in boosting the mining sector. To join us again on our next segment as we continue to give you more business news, it's now back to the studio.
We have come to the end of this week's edition of World of Business, where we were looking at the events that occurred at the 44th SADC Summit, casting a special eye on what His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Mnangagwa said, that economic growth needs to remain central to the SADC agenda, as this is how the region can lift its entire population out of poverty. Join us again in our next episode. Do stay tuned.